Hey guys, it's Shannon, and before I get into the video today, I do want to sort of announce that I'm actually going to be starting to do memberships on this channel, specifically with this video. This is me announcing it. Hi. I know it's a little bit confusing because I do have a Patreon, but this is going to be the last month that is active at all, and from here on out, I am going to be using YouTube's membership program because it just seems easier to me. I know that they take a fair portion of the money, however, my back end of Patreon, I don't know what's wrong with it, but it just doesn't work. Right now on this site there are 3 tiers because YouTube forces you to make tiers, but the only real perk is that you're going to be seeing the videos early and then you get a cute badge next to your name along with merch discounts. I am also hoping to do a monthly members only live stream, but we will see how that goes because I don't want to, commit to something that I can't do consistently. I don't want to pressure you guys or anything, but if you feel at all compelled and you want to see my videos early and see special behind the scenes not full public uploads, definitely hit the join button down below. And with that, let's all collectively piss on the ground in remembrance of the time we respected Chris Hansen. Also, feel free to bully me about how bad this video is in compared to my latest uploads, because let's be real, I am editing this video myself because I got so pissed and Nate was sleeping. It's that simple. If you have been on YouTube for more than a nanosecond, you've probably seen a fair few videos talking critically about a person, place, or thing. Any noun is worthy of criticism. Maybe you watched the video I made where I talked about the worst erotic novel in the world, Quiver, where a person literally puts a popsicle inside themselves and acts as if that would be pleasurable. Or maybe you've seen any number of the amazing videos by D'Angelo Wallace, Drew Gooden, or more talking about the numerous acts of idiocy done by the Paul brothers. Or maybe you are brand new to this world and just found the numerous videos going over that one amazing video that Laura Lee put out pretending to cry. Whatever the case is, you've probably seen a fair bit of criticism dished out on this hell site, and conversely, you've seen a good amount of people respond to that criticism. As someone who spends a silly amount of time on YouTube as a fun little side job, I have learned a lot about this particular topic, that being how to respond to criticism online. By the way, let me mention that none of these skills that I have gained doing YouTube would help me in the real world should it devolve into madness tomorrow, but that's fine. I'm totally okay with being yeeted out first in the upcoming apocalypse. It was what I was meant for, truly. But because of my time on YouTube, because I have watched nearly every YouTube apology video / reacting to criticism video that has been featured on this platform, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt what the #1 response to criticism on YouTube is. And that is, of course, jealousy. That everyone who's ever talked about any subject at any time, day or night, is simply doing it because that person is jealous. It's not that they want to see you improve, or it's not that they notice some of the terrible things you have done, say use sexual assault survivors to do the work completely for free for your weekly live streams. No, they are only talking about the less than stellar things you did, that you admit to doing, that you did publicly, because they secretly desire to be a 61-year-old man who couldn't make it in the mainstream industry. That makes sense. You see, when you have a pretty solid following, which can be anything above 1,000 followers in my estimation, it's pretty easy to get lost in your own hype. When you have people who follow you onto every platform and make it a point to tell you that they would do anything for you because you are in fact the very best, like nobody ever was. Sorry, shit, that was the Pokemon theme song. I often forget. I am not Ash Ketchum. My bad. But when you have people telling you every day that they are obsessed with you, that they love what you do and think that you are the bee's knees, you're the little knees on top of the bees, it is super easy to use those comments to fuel your self-worth and ego. When you are constantly being told you are right, you will start to think, hell yeah, I am right, and turn into kind of a douche canoe. And I assume that sentiment goes double if you were a huge name in the true crime community in the early 2000s because you were essentially the Ellen DeGeneres of true crime. Also, for reference sake, I chose Ellen DeGeneres because, like Hansen, her reputation was torn to shreds in 2020 because the majority of people found out she wasn't who she had proclaimed herself to be, and multiple people on her staff had been accused of sexual assault. Does the comparison work all the way around? Not really, but it works enough. When you have that kind of fanfare around yourself at all time and you are surrounded by yes men and constantly have at least 10 people following behind you telling you that even your shitty farts smell like warm bagels and cream cheese, it's pretty easy to let that kind of ego inflate a little bit. Unless you keep people around you who will ground you and tell you that you are being a massive dumbass when you're being a massive dumbass, you are going to buy your their own hype to the fullest extent. And that's why the #1 response to criticism on this website is to say, yeah, everyone who's talking negatively about me, they're just doing that because they're just jealous. They know that I'm so cool and so dope that if they make a video about me, it will get a certain amount of views and they will get a certain amount of money. Never mind the fact that the people who have talked about me aren't making things up out of thin air. Never mind the fact that everyone I have hired to take part working with me on my YouTube channel has either been completely unqualified, unpaid, or, plain old incompetent. See the time my assistant literally destroyed evidence that would have been sent to the FBI. Nah, the people who are talking about that, my literal actions, they're just fake mad about that because they're simply jealous. Everyone on YouTube, people like Blair White, Jacqueline Glenn, Repsion Tamimi, Mr. fucking GG, who I once played Among Us with, they're all just jealous of my big daddy mega dick because they all secretly want to have the power that I have, which I guess is the power to destroy actual investigations into predators. Sure, Chris, that checks out. In order to show how stupid and just plain old dumb and simple this concept is, I'm going to go ahead and read out a list of some of the bullshit Chris has done that he has been criticized for, which he has responded to, not by saying it's all untrue or not valid, but he has responded to by saying everyone talking about it is just jealous. Alright, so here's all the stuff that we're jealous of. I made a list. 1. He lied directly to the victims when he told him he was going to be donating the profits off of his live streams, and then went on to demean a victim who spoke out about it by stating that he didn't make that much money. So, I could donate the $17, but what of it? That's what Chris said. 2, during his interview with Jeffree Star, he allowed Jeffree to lie multiple times about easy fact-checkable things. Never took him to task on anything when he was directly lying, and went as far as to not question the fact that Jeffree had stated he and his assistant at the time had witnessed Davi sexually assaulting people multiple times on Twitter.com. Now remember, it wasn't just Jeffree who said it. Jeffree's assistant also said it, but I guess we don't care. I guess that's fine. He even went to add details, but then when they apologized to Davi later, it was all good. Hansen, despite that being a known fact, didn't question him on it. 3. He also allowed Jeffree to call one of the victims an outright liar because they had claimed he had witnessed their sexual assault, which Jeffree straight up stated he did. Jeffree stated, I did see that assault, and then later retracted and said, nah, it wasn't me, that person's lying. 4. He consistently misgenders the victims to the point where he can't even have the decency to talk about them with their proper pronouns. 5. He stated he was going to be working to get the survivors mental health help, but later clarified he wasn't actually going to do that. He just wanted to do a sponsorship with problematic company BetterHelp. That is not a joke. He wanted to get sponsored by BetterHelp and then have the survivors use his code to get it. So he was like, we're going to donate. We're going to find people who will give these people counseling. And then he was like, BetterHelp. That was it. 6. He had the survivors of sexual assaults be the one who set up the show for him, seeing as they were often the ones vetting the guests who were coming on and scheduling every interview. One of the survivors, Ashley Lilly, has spoken about what a toll this took on her mental well-being, and they did it completely unpaid because they were under the impression they would help the case. Later on, he would say he simply didn't have the money to pay them, despite the thousands of dollars in super chats coming in from those interviews. 7. His fiancée, which we're including because she is a public figure and she said this shit publicly, his fiancée later talked shit and ill of one of the survivors because she stated she no longer supported Chris publicly. And his fiancée stated that she's a liar and that nobody else likes her, and went on to share information that she would have only gotten from Chris Hansen. 8. He had a woman whose only affiliation to Onision was the fact that she runs a Tumblr blog on his show. She later then admitted she was high when she appeared and went on to say that Onision had literally killed people. No proof, just a random murder accusation because, okay, that seems legit. Later on, one of the survivors said she would vouch and she took the blame for that, even though, no, you don't. You were not given a routine or how to vet people. Chris literally should have questioned this person before she was put on his channel. 9. He asked leading questions that make the victims look bad multiple times over. See his Black Lives Matter question, and the multiple others that turn into memes. 10. He clearly doesn't listen to the victims when they are speaking and would ask them the same questions repeatedly, not realizing he had already asked the questions and should know what they are talking about. See this clip right here.
And not only that, but he had the gall to introduce me to Fallon the same night.
Fallon Vendetta is with us tonight. Have you guys actually met in person before?
Yeah.
11. He emotionally manipulated the survivors, telling them that he thought of them like his daughters and would ask them to openly defend them when the YouTube community would call him out. That is emotional manipulation. 12. He would question the survivors if they so much as liked a post that was critical of him, and he would pressure them to disavow creators that were criticizing him, like me, Edwin, and more. 13. The lawyer he hired to publicly represent him was also accused of sexual assault, which isn't great when you are the predator hunter on YouTube. 14. He hired known idiot Vincent Nicotra, who again is an idiot who shouldn't have been allowed anywhere near this case or near evidence. 15. He stole thousands of dollars from his fans in a GoFundMe scam for a new show. 16. He called multiple other YouTubers criminals like myself because they were being critical of him, and he was willing to accept the docs of the people who were taking him to count. 17. His assistant tampered with the only piece of evidence that would actually lead to a conviction in this case, destroying any chance of Onision going to jail, which they promptly left out of the documentary. 18. He pressured a survivor of Davi Vanity into giving him the address for Davi, which we could assume would be used once again for him to take a camera crew to Davi's home for another documentary to use more victim stories without their consent. 19. He made this documentary without the consent of multiple victims and basically told them that he was going to tell their story whether they consented to or not, re-victimizing them, and using their images and links to them even though they had asked him not to. 20. He started YouTube by putting false copyright strikes onto YouTube videos that so much as referenced his content, because he thought he owned the copyright to his own face. 21. He then re-uploaded the content onto his YouTube channel despite the fact that he did not own the rights to any of the clips made by South Park, True Crime Daily, and the rest, which got his original YouTube channel taken down. 22. He broke the terms of service by making a new YouTube channel and was essentially ban evading. 23. And worst of all, he's more successful than I am, and so I'm clearly jealous of everything he's ever done as a 61-year-old journalist who has nothing in common with me. That last one was clearly a joke, by the way. I hate this stupid ass-eating narrative that everyone who criticizes you for your actions that you admit to doing, they are somehow doing it because we're all so goddamn jealous of you. It's so beyond stupid because it's simply not the case. You have nothing that I want, Chris. Especially if you pay attention to the community at large on YouTube. Like, are we all critical of each other? Yes. But do we all criticize each other because we want each other to be better? Yeah. We want everyone to do well. And the idea that we're all so pissed off that we're being nitpicky against you when those are your actions, when you literally turned around and ruined a fucking case, that's beyond fucking stupid. This is why the FBI don't want to work with you. This is why the FBI want nothing to fucking do with you, Chris. This video is probably gonna be like a minute and a half long. I have no idea how long I've been talking. I'm kind of tired. I hope that Chris made enough money from this stupid ass documentary that sucks that he's out of debt and he can fucking retire and just go, because I am tired of his stupid dumb ass. And with that, I'm out of here. I hope you guys have a good fucking day, and I will see you in the next video. Later, Gator.